Today we're going to look at how to find area, and this will be of triangles, using trigonometric ratios. Your essential question is, how do I find the altitude of a triangle using the trigonometric ratios? Your learning intention. I'm learning to find the height of a triangle using the trigonometric ratios so that the area of the triangle can be found. You have 5 warm-up questions. What is the sine of A? What's the cosine of C? Tangent of A? Measure of angle A and measure of angle C. Pause the video and see if you can do those on your own. Well, I do hope you tried. If you cannot remember the acronym SOHCAHTOA. So, sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And finally, the tangent, your tangent, TOA, is the opposite over the adjacent. So, pause the video and see if you can figure those out on your own. Well, I do hope you tried. The sine of A. Here's my angle A. Sine is opposite divided by hypotenuse. The opposite length is 16. The hypotenuse is 34. Both of those have a factor of 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 34 divided by 2 is 17. Simplified, that is 8 over 17. Okay, now cosine, that adjacent over hypotenuse. This time we're at C. What is my adjacent length? 16. My hypotenuse is still 34. So this also simplifies to 8 over 17. Remember, the sine of one angle is the cosine of the other. And finally, the tangent, the opposite over the adjacent. 16 over 30. Both of them have a factor of 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 30 divided by 2 is 15. 8 over 15 is that simplified fraction. Okay, what do we do to find an angle measure? We use one of the inverses. We can use sine, for angle A, we can use sine or tangent, whichever we want. I'm going to use sine inverse because it's the top one, of 8 divided by 17. So I've got second sine 8 divided by 17. Close it off, hit enter. It's 28.1. Now, at this point I could say 90 minus, or I can use the cosine inverse for my other angle. Cosine inverse of 8 over 17. And I end up with 61.9. And that would be degrees. Remember, you can always do the 90 degrees minus 28.1 degrees, and you'll get the same thing. Either way you do it, you'll end up with 61.9 degrees. Okay, you've got two more angles to find. Angle E and angle F. How do I find the length of a side? Well, that's easy. You count the boxes. So if I'm looking for angle E, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the length of this side is 12. Now, because I also want to know angle F, I'm going to count this side. I can't really do the hypotenuse without using the Pythagorean theorem. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Both times I'm going to use the tangent ratio. So the tangent inverse of my opposite is 8. My adjacent is 12. In this case, I will not simplify because I don't need to. So second tangent, 8 divided by 12. And I get 33.69, so that's about 33.7. Now, for the other one, I can do 90 degrees minus 33.7 degrees, or the tangent inverse of 12 divided by 8, because my tangents are reciprocals of each other. And I get 56.3. degrees. And we're done. Okay, this takes us into finding area of triangles. To find the area of a triangle, you take the base times the height and divide by 2. So, pause the video and see if you can find the area of this triangle here. What is your base? What is your height? Your base is 5. Your height is 1.9. So 5 times 1.9 divided by 2. I can put the whole thing in my calculator all at once because order of operations will multiply and then divide. So I put it all in at once and I get 4.75. And that will be kilometers squared. So your area is base times height divided by 2. But let's look at the problem here. We don't know the altitude. Can we find it? Well, yeah. You actually have two choices. I could bring an altitude down from here, or I could bring it down from here. I will usually do the altitude, I'll bring it from this point down. So step 1 is to draw that altitude. I need to have it fairly looking like a 90-degree angle here at least. And I'll draw the altitude from the peak down. Okay, now this is where my 90-degree angle is. And my height is here. So, which two pieces of information do I know? Do I know the leg? Do I know or want to know the legs, or do I know the leg? Want to know the leg and the hypotenuse? Well, here's my 90 degrees. This would be my hypotenuse. This is my leg. Here's my angle. Is this opposite or adjacent? That is my opposite side. Opposite over hypotenuse is sine. So the sine of 37 degrees is equal to h divided by 7.5. I've divided by 7.5. How do I undo that? You multiply both sides by 7.5. So as I get ready to multiply, it will be 7.5 times the sine of 37. Close it off, and I get 4.513. So that's approximately 4.1. And that will be centimeters. So to find my area, my base will be 8, my height will be 4.1, 8 times 4.1 divided by 2. And you end up with 16.4. And that will be centimeters squared. If you have questions, back the video up and watch it again. If not, go to the next page. So as I'm looking at the next one, I don't know my height. I'll have to draw it in and then find it with trigonometry. So I think that I'm going to use this as my base. And this will become my height. Here's my right angle. Here's my height. So I know my hypotenuse, and I'm looking for my opposite side. Hypotenuse and opposite side is a sine. So the sine of 63 degrees is equal to h divided by 14.2. I've divided by 14.2. How do I undo that? Well, you undo it by multiplying by 14.2. (14.2) times the sine of 63 degrees is equal to 12.65. That's approximately 12.7. Now, when I get ready for my area, I know that my area is base times height divided by 2. My height is 12.7. My base is 16.5. putting it all together. 16.5 times 12.7 and then divide the whole thing by 2. And we get 104. So my area is approximately 104.8 centimeters squared. Okay, there's 3 more to do. Can you do them on your own? Pause the video, draw in the height, and see if you can do it on your own. Well, I hope you tried. So the first thing I always have to do is decide which one do I want to be my base, the 5.5 or the 7.5. Well, I think I will use the 5.5. Yeah, I'm going to use the 7.5. Well, either way I do it, it does not end up with much here, does it? Here's my height. This angle here is still 115. Okay, so here's my right angle. My hypotenuse is 5.5. I'm looking for my opposite side. The sine of 115 degrees is equal to h divided by 5.5. How do I solve? Multiply both sides by 5.5. .5 times the sine of 115 degrees, and I end up with 44.98, which would be about approximately 5. So h is about 5. So my area, which is your base times height divided by 2, your base, remember this is going to be our base, is 7.5. Our height is about 5. So my area becomes 7.5 times 5 divided by 2. And it's 18.75. Area is about 18.8 centimeters squared. Okay, if you weren't able to do that one on your own, can you do the next one on your own? Can you do this one? This one is very similar to what we've been doing. Well, I'm going to do my height from the bottom up. Here's my right angle. Once again, I'm looking for my height, which is my side opposite. I've got my hypotenuse, so I use sine. The sine of 64 degrees is equal to my height divided by 5.8. Multiply both sides by 5.8. 5.8 times the sine of 64 degrees, and you get 5.21, which is about 5.2. So my height is about 5.2. So let's put it all together. My area is your base times your height divided by 2. My base is 15.8 or 5.8. My height is about 5.2. So 5.8 times 5.2 divided by 2. And you end up with 15.08, which is approximately 15.1 centimeters squared. Okay, if you still haven't done one, I encourage you to pause the video now and see if you can do the last one. I hope you tried. Once again, this looks like the easiest way to draw my altitude. My altitude is also my height of my triangle. Once again, I'm looking for my opposite side and I know my hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse is your sine. So the sine of 58 degrees is equal to h divided by 38. Multiply both sides by 38. Times the sine of 58, close it, and 32.225, so that's approximately 32.2. Now my base is 43. Putting it all together, my area will be 43 times 32.2 divided in half. And I end up with 692.3. $692.3. And that will be millimeters squared. So, how do you know when you're successful? You know you're successful when you can find the altitude and area of any triangle. So this is finding the altitude with trig and finding the area. Of a triangle.